Okay, so if you go with background images, if you go to W3 C schools, you can see right here, there are a whole bunch of background image properties. All these background origin, background position, background repeat, background size, all of these have to do with background images. So I encourage you to look them up and play with them, experiment with them. We'll do that in a second, experiment with them right inside the browser here. So the thing with background images is that they're different. They're different. They have different personality than just putting an image into your HTML. And the question might be like, when would you want to put one in the HTML, and when would you want to put one in the CSS? And the answer to that is kind of like, well, remember how we tried to separate the content from the styles? So if the image is important to the content, like maybe it's a photo that goes with an article, maybe it has a caption to it, that would probably, it would be best if you put that into the HTML. Whereas if you have an image that's just more decorative or supposed to, convey an atmosphere or just be a graphical element, it's probably better suited to put it in the CSS because, that's where the styles go. So, so here I have, okay, so one of the things to remember with background images is that images, you put them in the HTML, they just take up as much space as they need to take up, and everything breaks and gets out of the way. Background images are only the amount of background image that is revealed is according to how much stuff is actually inside of it. So if you make a div, you get a background image and it doesn't have any height to it, then you're not going to see anything until you actually start putting stuff inside of it. So you can see here, I have a height on this one right here. So I'm going to turn that off. And now we can only see, you can only see it because there's text in there. And if I make the text go away, we can't see anything at all. It's there, but it's totally flat because it doesn't have any content. So you want to make sure that you put content in there or give it some sort of height depending on your layout. So in this case, I've got this background here. The property is background image, and then you give it a URL. It's the same thing as giving a source on images. You just give it the URL of the image. And here I've got a width and a height. VH is viewport height. And the things we can play with background images are size, position, and repeat. By default, background images repeat. So if I resize this, you can see that it's starting to repeat that image. So you might want to usually you want to turn that off just in case the page gets resized. There are occasions where you do want to repeat something, because you can repeat on the y-axis, on x-axis or on the y-axis. So let's say you want some stripes to go across in the background of something. You can make a tiny little pixel, tiny little images like 2 pixels wide, and give it some squares in it, and then just say repeat x-axis or repeat x or something like that, and it'll just go across the page and give give a visual of stripes. So same thing for the y. You might want to do something like that. Background size. There's various values you can get it. 100% is just going to be 100% of the container. I could say auto, and then I'm going to get it pixel per pixel. This is actually a really big image, so it's showing me pixel per pixel, exactly the size of the image. And there's also one called cover. which is really comes in really handy if you have something especially taking up the entire width of the page. And what that does is it maintains maintains the proportion and the size, but if it needs to like crop a little bit, it'll do that for you. So it's sort of cropping for me. So I'm not, I'm still at, what is it, 80% VH, no matter what size of the screen, but it's making sure that it all fits in there. If I had it, at 100%, I wouldn't have to worry about a white bar showing up on the bottom of it. In this case here, I'm using background position, and I'm, oopsie, what is that? What did I just do? I'm using background position. And what that's doing is, well, let me show you if I turn it off. It's trying to just sort of center it. And that's not necessarily, it's sort of cutting it off. It's showing me all of the stuff on this, just prioritizing the stuff on the top and the stuff on this side, which you might want. But let's say you have a photo like this and you have someone's face over here on the right. Well, you have it on cover and it's doing cropping for you. You want to make sure that face stays in the frame. So you can, I do bottom left, you can just say center, you can say center left, center right. There's a whole bunch of them, you can look them all up, bottom left, bottom, top, left, right, center. And you can also position them just according to pixels. You can just tell it how many pixels. And this is going to be really helpful for some of you who have background images in different places within a container. You can actually, almost like positioning property, you can actually tell it exactly where to go inside of the container. The other thing we can do is, like I said, we can have multiple background images. So let's say I have something, a small logo or something I want to put on this, or I have multiple illustrations that I want to control. What we do is we string them together. So I have another one down here. Copy, and I'm going to put it in front of the flower image because that's the stacking order. The first one is on the top, second one is below that, third one is below that. You can have multiple, as many as you want, I think. I don't know if there's a limit. And you separate them by commas. So there we go. So it went sort of 100% automatically. So I separated them by commas. As you can see, if I pull this out right there. So there's the first image and then there's the second image. And then you might be asking yourself, well, how do I control them separate from each other with background size and position and repeat? Well, you do that by putting two separate values in there. So if I say, for the first one, I want it to be 80 pixels and space cover, or is it comma? Oh no. There we go, it's comma. It's going to apply the first value to the first image, second value to the second image. Same thing here if I say center, comma, it centers it right there. I could, instead of center, let's see, let's say 200 pixels. It goes over 200 pixels. What else do I want to tell you? You can still have a background color in that div. It goes underneath the image. And that's a good idea for, let's say you have a dark image and you have some white text on top of it. It's a good idea to put some sort of dark color behind it, because what if that, you know, that link didn't work and the image didn't show up? You wouldn't have white text on just white. You would at least have a color there so the text is readable. So it's a good idea to get in the habit of putting, you know, in that case, putting the color behind the image. Okay, so that said, I have a short assignment for you to do. And I got a screenshot, I've got a code pin for you, and you're gonna recreate this right here. I already have the, on the code pin, I already have the images in there and sized and everything. And oh, you can't see it here, okay. But so what you're gonna need to do is control that gluten-free icon, get it into place. You're gonna have to do some adjusting to, I don't know if both images, but at least the mashed potato image, because it's much larger than the container. So you need to figure out what size it needs to be to, you know, for the, you know, maximum effect. You can play with the position and all of that. So, and then just remember you've got two images here. So whatever values you give those things, you need to put them in the right order and separate them with a comma. Think you can do that? I think you can do that. Okay, go for it. you forget what some of these do, look them up, especially on the W3 schools. It lets you play around with the different properties.